Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Sustainable Brain. This is Christy Villanueva, President of the West San Antonio Chamber of Commerce. And of course, joining me every week is Dr. Sunitha from the Brain Coach. Hey, Dr. Sunitha.
Hey, Christy, it's great to see you again.
Great to see you. As we were talking in the green room, I was running. We just had that wonderful PPE distribution in our parking lot today at the West Chamber. So it's just go, go, go with the staff and I, and Veronica was registering people. So we have had a very busy morning, but I'm, as always, so happy to see you on our regular Thursday visit.
Well, I'm so proud of what the chamber and what you're doing and Veronica's doing. You said you loaded 125 cars. Is that right?
Yeah, in 2 hours.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
all we had time for was 2 hours of this event. We might do it again actually in about 2 to 3 weeks. We're considering doing that, but maybe doing it for dinner. So look out for that. We may put a flyer out that says, come shop local, grab your dinner at a food truck, and get your PPE gear maybe from 5 to 8, something like that.
That is an excellent idea. Support a local entrepreneur and get the PPE equipment out. That's awesome. Here.
Yes, thank you. Well, so we have a wonderful new guest today, and I'm so happy that Sustainable Brain has invited a wonderful person from Comfort Cafe. Chris Homer is our new guest today, and I'm so eager to talk to Chris and learn more about the organization and the restaurant.
Hi, my name is Chris. Thank y'all so much for having me, and I'm so excited to be here.
Thanks, Chris. So it's really interesting. I mentioned earlier that we've been thinking about reaching out to you for several months now because we've been so intrigued, and it really started with your food. So tell us first about Comfort Cafe, and then we'll go into Serenity a little bit more.
So Comfort Cafe, it all kind of ties in together, but Cafe is part of a nonprofit. We're a 501c3, and all of the food here at the cafe is donation based. If you look at our menu, there are no prices on the menu. And all of the proceeds from the food that we sell, from the services that we offer, goes back into our nonprofit. And we help people recover from drug and alcohol addiction. So every plate that is served, every pie that is sold, that money goes directly to keep a bed open for someone that's looking to change their life. That's
unbelievable. Now, how do you sustain a business plan that has no prices on the menu? That's pretty shocking. So you must really have a lot of customers that come in.
Yeah, we have a very, very loyal fan base, and San Antonio has been so welcoming. We opened our first location out in Smithville, outside of Austin, about 10 years ago, and it's still going strong to this day. And last year, in May of 2019, we decided we wanted to expand, not just the restaurant, but expand our treatment services as well. So we chose San Antonio because we had a lot of clients that were coming to our treatment center from San Antonio. So we felt there was a real need to come here. And the community has been so welcoming. Even in the midst of this pandemic, the community has been showing up, and food has been getting sold, and beds are staying open.
That's beautiful. So, well, I'll ask you again later on in this interview, but for right now, how can we find you? What's your phone number? What's your address? How do we order food to help support Comfort Cafe?
So we are located on Bandera Road, 5616 Bandera Road. It's right inside 410. It's across the street from an H-E-B marketplace. If you are from San Antonio, it's where the old Cha-Chas used to be. And most people know where that is. And you can Facebook under Comfort Cafe San Antonio, or Instagram, Comfort Cafe SATX.
Beautiful. Dr. Sunitha, you want to start with the questions?
Yes, I do. So, Chris, there's so much. I'm excited about having you on. What we're talking about, those that are listening, this is really social entrepreneurship. We've been talking about cause-driven organizations. And Chris, can you tell us, what do you think, how do you make it, you're making a difference in our community, really you are. But in your words, how is that difference being made?
So that difference, what's the best way to say this? As we know, addiction is running rampant in America, and it has been for decades. So that means that it affects everyone. If you either know someone, you have problems yourself. If you work in the medical field, you see it there. You see it everywhere. And what we want to do is we want to give people a place to find sustainable recovery. That way that whatever they were doing is no longer an issue, and they're able to be a productive, purpose-driven member of society. So essentially, we want to return people to their families. We want to give people an opportunity to create a new life for themselves. We want them to really see the beautiful person that is inside, because a lot of times addicts who are struggling can't see that. And we can see that because we've been there, and we want to be able to show them who they truly are.
That is incredible to hear. Just, helping people become purpose-driven members of society, that is huge. And I don't know, we've talked a little bit about the science, the neurology of purpose and what it does, neuroscience, how it ignites the brain. But tell me, before we go to that, from what you've seen, the stories, and I wish we had more time to share some of the stories. But what do you think? Well, tell us a little story. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen, if there's time, and I don't know how to make it brief. What have you seen that Comfort Cafe and even the rehabilitation program, Serenity Star, what has it done? Can you tell us a little bit about the impact?
So I will share my own personal experience. I think that's the best way to really get the point across. So I have a little over 4.5 years in recovery now. I came from a background where addiction ran in my family, alcoholism ran in my family, and I was never taught values about loving myself. I was never taught how to find a goal and chase that goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in my life, there's been a lot of trauma, unfortunately. A thing that has really played a part in my addiction and in my recovery is my mother and both of her brothers all committed suicide. And that spun me so dark and so deep into my own depression and my own addiction, that I had the thought that that is going to be my path. I'm going to follow the family tradition. And I had a moment of clarity after I had made that decision to reach out and get help. And I had tried treatment before and it never worked. I know today the reason it didn't work is because I wasn't ready. It's not that the treatment wasn't good. It's that I just wasn't ready yet. And I reached out and I got the number to Serenity Star. And it's a long-term program. It's 6 months to 1 year. And it scared me. That's a long time, So I had it in my head. I'm going to go for a month and get some meat on my bones, get some sleep, and face the world again. And within that 1 month, I was really able to see how much trauma I had endured and how much trauma I had created for myself. And Serenity Star gave me the space and the opportunity to look within, and really figure out what I needed to do, what I needed to change, what I needed to let go of in order to become the person that I wanted to be. And a lot of that has come from doing childhood, really taking a look at my childhood, taking a look at my wounds from my childhood, and becoming the parent that I should have had for myself. I've done a lot of codependency work, 12 steps AA, NA, And every day I'm still working. Every day I'm still growing. And now I have 4.5 years sober. I am a registered yoga teacher. I have meaningful relationships in my life. My life looks better than I ever could have imagined, and I'm so grateful for that.
That's incredible. That's an
But
incredible.
these are all things, Chris, that you learned when you were ready,
Yes.
as you moved through the process, which is something that even the healthiest person has to be doing every day of their life, is learning and growing and building on that. So when you're already an adult and you don't have that solid base, now we're having to relearn. And thank goodness that Serenity Star was there for you. One thing I want to make a comment on is, so just to tie it back to those business owners that are listening, and maybe Chris, you can comment on this. Sometimes the world is not as patient as it should be to the employees that are going through things, that didn't have that base of learning, that had a lot of trauma. Because many of us can say, well, we have that uncle that drank too much, or we have that brother or sister that was arrested multiple times, and that was because of a period of abusing alcohol or drugs. And then maybe we had a touch of that, but it's maybe suppressed, and it has had an impact on our day-to-day and our families. So I think it's very critical that an organization like yours is around, because the world can sometimes be a cruel place, and we need to guide our employees to find support and to put them, hey, go see somebody, go talk to somebody, and then come back to work for me when you're ready.
Well, and I think it's so important in speaking about that. One thing that personally I think is lacking in a lot of the regular workplace areas is a true compassion for other human beings, right? Really seeing and hearing someone for who they are, what they've been through, where they're at, and being compassionate with them. Humans are not just here to be productive. We're here to find connection, and we're here to build intimacy. And the productivity is a byproduct of feeling supported and feeling seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think business owners and managers and employers could come back into their hearts and really guide people from a place of compassion, rather from a place of, this is the way that it needs to look and who you are doesn't matter. I think that would really change the entire workforce and change mental health inside of the workforce.
So
absolutely,
what Chris is saying is huge. I really want to talk about the business, because it sounds like, okay, Chris is a feel good, this is a feel good thing. Entrepreneurs, please listen in. Purpose-driven organizations, cause-driven organizations are 600% more profitable. If we're just looking at profit, if that's, and it's okay. If you're an entrepreneur, you're thinking, well, what Chris is saying is all great, but I've got to pay bills. Let's look at the practical side. Research is confirming that purpose-driven, cause-driven organizations are more successful, and not like a little bit, 600% times. The reason is because if someone's going to eat at a restaurant, there's so many. They're going to choose Comfort Cafe because it has a cause. If they're going to invest money, spend their money, why choose one place versus another? Why? If you are an entrepreneur, you want to give the public a reason to align, so their values align with your values and they're going to choose you. This is huge, what Chris is talking about. So I want to take it out of Chris is an ideal or Comfort Cafe. This is really a sort of a feel-good thing. This is real business sense. I just wanted to say that. I also wanted to say the research shows, Chris, your employees are going to be more engaged. We're looking at employee performance, right? Statistically, we're finding that only 15% of the workforce is actively engaged. So guys, listen, and right now with COVID going on, entrepreneurs, Your employees need a reason. It's got to be more than a check. And what we're seeing here at Comfort Cafe, there's other for-profit businesses that have found this niche of how to be social entrepreneurship, right? But what they're giving is their employees a reason to get up in the morning bigger than the paycheck, and that allows for employee engagement and higher performance. I just wanted to say what Chris is saying and what Comfort Cafe is doing is not just feel good. It makes real business sense. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, absolutely. And it has such an impact on the community. I think, Chris, you were mentioning earlier, and I know we complimented you because this is something that's been going on for a long time. And we've needed something to help support those that are asking for help, that have been addicted to drugs or alcohol or whatever it is. We need to support them. And COVID has really just made us stop in our tracks and realize we need to all come together. We need to be more of a family, be more cohesive, and have that, I think you said, connection is the cure to isolation. And that's so profound because you're providing that at so many different levels. This is a business model that we all need to practice. And for those that don't believe us and say, he can't be helping that many people and it can't be making that much of an impact. Well, for those of you out in the world that are so focused maybe on leadership, this is the same thing. Our goal is to build future leaders. And some of those future leaders may be in addiction. They may be having some other issues, but they are leaders. They can do so many things. So Chris, I'll turn it back over to you to tell us a little bit more about what an impact Serenity Star has had and how people can recover and then thrive in the world.
So the reach that Serenity Star has right now in this moment, we have our residential recovery community out in Smithville, and it houses about 60 clients. And we also have a family program there. A lot of times, if you're an addict and you have children and you're looking for help, treatment centers will not allow you to bring your children in, right? And they just want to treat the drug addiction and alcohol dependence. But for us, we want to bring the children in with the families and teach them how to parent. We want to break that generational cycle. So that is another thing that we offer that is not very, so we do that. And here in San Antonio, we have 2 sober living houses for those that are transitioning out of our residential in Smithville. And we also just purchased 3 acres in March to build a residential here in San Antonio to increase our reach. And we got that in March, right when the pandemic hit. So we haven't been able to make too much progress on it because here at the cafe, we were serving between 500 and 600 guests a weekend. We're only open Fridays through Saturday from 8 to 3. And now we're serving between 150 and 200 a weekend. So our numbers are way, way, way down. And that's one reason we're looking for support, because this isn't about making money for us. This is about saving lives, and that's what's special about the cafe. It empowers our guests to know that the meal that they're eating, the money that they're donating, is going to actively help save a life. It brings that community engagement, community involvement, and helps our guests feel empowered.
Oh, that's so phenomenal. So Dr. Sunitha, how can you further elaborate on that? As our brain is functioning, we're sitting there knowing that our money is going for a good purpose and we're doing a good thing. This is why we're going to visit Chris and his entire team who's serving us, whether it's to go or to dine in. How is that having an impact on our brain versus just looking at the bottom line?
Yeah. Yesterday, my daughter said to me, she said, wow, life has all of these ups and downs and turns and hills and valleys. And I said to her, you mean during COVID? She goes, no, just usually. Life does. And especially during these times where it's a day-to-day change sometimes. When you have a cause, it unifies effort. When you have a purpose that's bigger than your immediate need, what it does is it calls you to action despite the ups and downs. So what Chris is doing, and if you listen, we've talked a little bit about company culture. Chris, you express company culture and as leadership. So we talked about leadership. Christy, you mentioned leadership. Chris and his example and the way he talks is going to have a trickle down effect into the employees. And what, Chris, you're creating company culture every single moment that you open your mouth and you say what you're saying, because your employees are listening, your own brain is listening. So what would I tell people? What is right about this? As we go through what we go through, if you're doing what you're doing to keep doors open, that's very practical. You know, you got to pay bills. But when you're doing something and you're still going to pay bills, but you're doing something that unifies you, it unifies your team, it brings you together, it makes decision making easier, it creates a clear path. And I really think this is what we have here. I think a lot of entrepreneurs know their purpose sort of, but they're not actively engaging in it. With Chris, what you hear is he's just speaking it. He's talking about it. And then his employees are listening and his staff is listening. And it just, and the community is listening, Chris. And it's so great to get you out and put you on the show. And I think when people come in, they really do, Chrissy, they feel they're creating, they're making a difference by eating there. And we're looking for that.
Yeah.
And we want to give, and just like we were speaking earlier, Christy, we really regard our guests, our customers as family. We want to be able to see them. We want to be able to hear them. We want to make them feel safe and supported. And that further brings that community engagement together. It brings it all together.
You know, before we put Chris on the mic, I want to tell you what Chris said. I said, Chris, how do you deliver on the promise of people are family? And he said that people feel seen and heard. And Chris, I did not tell you to say that. So, you know, and we've talked about this before. How can we help as entrepreneurs? How can we help our customers be seen and heard? That's phenomenal, Chris. You said that. You also, I have to give a Chris quote. He said, you have to be willing to walk through the pain so you can help someone else. That was awesome, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, Chris, that's it. You're going to be able to run the city very soon. But I mean, those are things that we need to practice as individuals each day, no matter what we're looking for. We're just looking to be better people, better parents, better to our employees, whatever it is. I mean, all these things are just spot on. So it's good that we're talking to you because we're learning, and this is just a reinforcement of what we already know to do. And I'm so glad that you are here for our community, that you're doing this work for us. And you know, there's so much of this that's needed everywhere, all across the country.
Yes.
And one small group like this makes such a difference, because this is not us complaining, this is doing. This is taking action on something, and it's a step forward. And the fact that you can help heal the entire family, not just the one person, because sometimes that learned behavior is not only you, it's your spouse, it's now you're teaching your kids. We have to break that cycle. I mean, I completely understand. It is so wonderful. So we're almost running out of time. So let us know again, how do we reach you? By website, social media, phone number? Tell us how we reach you.
Yeah, you can check out our Facebook, Comfort Café San Antonio. If you're looking to place a to-go order or find any information, you can call 512-575-0348. And our website is www.serenitystar.org. And you'll find links for the cafes, for our program, for where we're growing, and any wish lists that we have as well.
Beautiful. And so, Chris, what have we missed? What would you like to tell all our viewers? How would you like to empower them today?
I mean, the thing that I would really love to leave everyone with is anything that we can do to work on ourselves will ripple out. Anytime I can be kind to myself, it'll ripple out to those around me. Anytime that I can show myself compassion, it will ripple out. And that's something that we do here. We actively work on growing and becoming more empowered, so that those around us, those that come in to eat, those that we see at HEB, can feel that energy and will see that it is possible to change, and that you can grow. You don't have to stay stuck in the values and beliefs that you were brought up with, right? I have a right to find and choose what works for me. And that's something that we want to empower everyone around us to do.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. And we will definitely be visiting Comfort Cafe and supporting, getting our to-go orders. Dr. Sunitha, what message would you like to leave us with today?
I'm going to quote Chris. He's something he said before we got on the air. Chris, he said, and you know, we've heard this in different forms, but to hear it from a young manager who's running a business, you said that we cannot survive anything by ourselves. So true. And I think as an entrepreneur myself, I've been guilty of this. I'm just going to strong suit it. Like I'm just going to, you know, pick it up by my bootstraps, and I'm going to go through it. You know, that's the call. And if I can't, I failed. And oh my gosh, we're not going to survive this without asking for help, without reaching out for help. We can't do it by ourselves. Well said, Chris. And I wanted to just quote you again. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Dr. Sunitha, for being with us every week. I appreciate your time so much. So don't forget, everyone, the West San Antonio Chamber brings this Sustainable Brain series to you every Thursday at 12:15. We have a new entrepreneur, business leader, community advocate with us every week, so we can learn from each other. So please don't forget, take care of one another, have compassion. This directly connects to business each and every day. Take a moment to look around and figure out what's going on in your atmosphere, in your room, in your office, and make that connection. Reach out to others. If you need help doing that, Chris and Comfort Cafe is there for you to get help for you or for your employees. Dr. Sunitha is hosting her counseling and her brain coach research and answering her own phone calls, and doing her brain coach research every day, Monday through Friday, helping so many people. And the West San Antonio Chamber is also here for you, connecting you to all these fantastic people. So please reach out. We are all here for you. Don't forget to wear your masks, and we'll see you next week. And the West San Antonio Chamber has a great trivia competition coming up in a couple of weeks. So don't forget to join us. We are also fundraising to continue these wonderful efforts on our virtual meetings and our virtual education sessions. We will see you all next week. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.